I'm going to call to order tonight's meeting. Please stand for the pledge. Crowley, will you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we please have a moment of silence for people serving both at home and abroad? Thank you. Okay, first up, announcements. Ms. Frescator.
Good evening. Parks and Rec, we have a few announcements to make. The latest edition of the Township newsletter has been mailed, and it can be picked up at all municipal facilities. The Rubber Ducky Regatta, we're selling tickets for it now. You can get it at the library, the Rec, online, or Citadel Federal Credit Union. The Little Rubber Ducks go at Kemper Park in the water, and the first 4 tickets to cross the line gets cash prizes. It's a fun event to bring for you and your family. Don't forget to register 3 to 10-year-old children for the annual Egg Scramble, sponsored by Fulton Bank. That'll be Thursday, March 24th at 4:30 p.m. You must register by calling the Parks and Rec Department. Vendors and shoppers can enjoy the Spring Community Yard Sale on Saturday, April 16th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Warminster Community Park. Entrance to the events via the Bristol Road and Hatboro Road intersection gate. Contact Parks and Rec for more information. Discount premier movie tickets are on sale for $9.50. Coming up, amusement park and local attraction tickets will also be going on sale starting in April. Park and Rec is selling dog licenses. They're taking new applications and renewals for the Bark Park. Park restrooms and the Bark Park water fountains will remain closed until the end of March to prevent frozen pipes. Parks are open year-round, and be sure to be cautious when playing in the park. For more contact or information, you may contact the Parks and Rec, 215-443-5428. Just a quick note, Delaware Valley College is presenting a documentary on the healthcare at its tipping point. It's an acclaimed film called Fix It, Monday, March 21st, 7:30 p.m. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Frescator. Mr. Monroe.
Mr. Chairman, I have no announcements.
Thank you. Mr. McPhillips.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate Archbishop Woods girls basketball team for winning the District 12 championship. This Saturday, Woods going to travel to Hershey to play for the state championship. And I want to congratulate them, wish them well, and go Vikings. Right. And also tonight, we from Archbishop. I just want to point here, tonight we have Gary Zamora from Archbishop Wood. And Gary, I want to publicly thank you for this year hosting the Brad Fox 5K at Archbishop Wood. I appreciate that. Thank you, Gary.
Is that it? Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Crowley?
All right, just a couple for me, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to let everybody know that on Saturday, March 19th, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., the VFW 6493 Riders Group will be hosting a fundraiser event. The VFW Post Riders Group is hosting this event to raise funds to assist veterans in need of financial assistance, to pay medical bills, or to help with unexpected hardships. It's supposed to be a large event. It's going to draw over 150 supporters. Local businesses are involved, and if you can make it out there over at the VFW over on Lewis Drive anytime between 6 and 10 on March 19th, 2016, we would appreciate the support. Thank you. And then the only other thing I'd like to mention is a couple new businesses in town. First, they were actually opened in December, and we didn't have it on the report, so we apologize. Stone Walk opened at 760 West Street Road. And then we have 2 businesses actually reopening. Angelina's Pizzeria over 216 West Street Road, and the Big Scoop Creamery at 336 York Road, just down the street. As always, we thank them for doing business in our town. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. I have a couple of announcements. One, the board had an executive session prior to the night's meeting to discuss personnel. I also have the Warminster Rotary Club will be hosting its annual Coach Bag Bingo tomorrow night at the Ben Wilson Center at 6:30 p.m. Tickets are still available at the door, $35 per head. And the other one has, I'm sure many of you are aware that I am a colon cancer survivor, and March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month, so I'm really big on promoting early screening. So I was over at the center the other day, and they ran this across me at the Rosenfeld Cancer Center. They are having something called the Strollin' Colon. It's a giant inflatable standing colon that provides a visual representation of the progression of colon cancer along with simple explanations. The educational tool will be on display to help promote colon cancer awareness. Tuesday, March the 22nd, and Wednesday, March the 23rd, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Pavilion Grill. And it looks fascinating. Gary, you might want to take a class trip over there, take a walk through the colon. And that's all I have for announcements. So I'm going to move on to presentations, and I want to ask Chief Donnelly to come up. We have the privilege of swearing in a couple of new officers to our police force tonight. And Chief Donnelly would like to come up and introduce them, and we'll do the swearing in.
Good evening. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Good evening.
We are here to present, or I'm going to present two candidates to be sworn in. First is Ryan Burke. Ryan was raised in Northampton. He's a graduate of Council Rock South. He is a graduate of Temple University and a recent graduate of Temple Criminal Justice Training Center Police Academy. He's also a graduate of Murray State University for a ZMT, and he is a veteran of the United States Army, serving in 101st Airborne. During his tours of duty over there, he's a recipient of the Purple Heart, the Army Commendation Medal for Valor, 2 Army Commendation Medals, and the list goes on and on. But he's going to be presented up here with his fiancee. Sorry, Ryan. I didn't realize anything for you today. All right. Kelly Cummings. And we'll bring Ryan up now.
Okay.
So.
Come on up, Ryan. Okay, Ryan, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to Warminster and to the force. And how about you tell us a little bit, Chief has already told us, but how about you tell us a little more about who you are?
Sure. As the Chief said, I'm Ryan Burke, 27 years old, grew up in Northampton Township. After high school, tried college out, wasn't for me at the time, joined the military. I did 3 years in the 101st Airborne Division, one tour in Afghanistan for a year. Got out, went right to school, got my degree in criminal justice from Temple University, and shortly after that I started the Act 120 program at Temple University Ambler. I recently moved in with my girlfriend here in Warminster, and I'm excited to be a part of the Warminster Township Police Department.
And who will be holding the Bible for you?
This is my girlfriend, Kelly Cummings.
Kelly, welcome. All right, this is a real honor for me as well. I spent my teenage years running from you guys, and here I am swearing a few of you guys in. I only wish my father were here to see it on St. Patrick's Day. Truly, what a wacky world. But anyway, Ryan, place your hand on the Bible and repeat after me. I, Ryan J. Burke, do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
I, Ryan J. Burke, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of this Commonwealth.
And the Constitution of this Commonwealth.
And that I will discharge the duties of patrol officer in Warminster Township, Bucks County, with fidelity.
And I will discharge responsibility
Of patrol officer,
in this township,
Bucks County,
Bucks County,
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
We'll take a brief recess after we swear in the other officer for pictures. Okay, Chief.
Okay. Second, we have Joseph Perel, the fourth. He is a resident of Yardley Borough, or Yardley, where he was born and raised. He's a graduate of Pennsbury High School. He will be accompanied by his fiancee, Lauren Campbell. He's a graduate of Lock Haven University, and he comes to us from Tullytown Borough, where he served for the last 6 months after graduating his Act 120 from Temple University or Temple Academy. Also, he's an Eagle Scout and a volunteer firefighter. So with that, I will bring up Joseph and his fiancee, Lauren.
Joseph, come on up. And I also wanted to mention that Judge Finello normally does these swearings in, but he's away in Harrisburg on official business, and he sends his regards for the officers. So why don't you tell, I know the Chief talked a little bit, tell us who you are, introduce your
My name is Joseph Perel, born and raised in Yardley, Pennsylvania. I'm a graduate in 2008 of Pennsbury High School. 2006, as Chief Donnelly said, I became a volunteer firefighter where I've been there for the last 10 years. I'm a graduate in 2012 of Lock Haven University. I've been a part-time officer in Yardley Borough, and after that I was a part-time officer in Tullytown Borough, which is where I've been up until this point. I'm very excited to be a part of Warminster Township Police Department. This is my fiance, Lauren. We recently got engaged this past August. So.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, Joseph, place your hand on the Bible, please. Raise your hand. I, Joseph Perel IV,
I, Joseph Perel IV,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of patrol officer in Warminster Township, Bucks County,
of patrol officer in Warminster Township, Bucks County,
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
All right, congratulations. Welcome to Warminster. The next up on tonight's agenda is the proposed bus shelter for York and Street roads, a presentation by the Archbishop Wood students, and I'm going to ask Ms. Tackett to take this.
Good evening. Tracy Tackett, Township Planner. I just want to introduce to you tonight students from Archbishop Wood High School. They are working on a class project, and they have designed a bus shelter that they're proposing to have installed in front of the Centerpoint Shopping Center. And they've been very diligent about making this presentation to first the Planning Commission and then the Economic Development Committee. They've been reaching out to SEPTA, to PennDOT, to the owner of the shopping center. All sorts of work they have put into this, and you'll see tonight from their presentation it's really been quite an effort. As we go through the presentation, though, they really do face a lot of challenges. So they're not only learning how to design a bus shelter, but they're learning a lot about how government works and all the challenges associated with that. So with that, I'll turn it over to the students to give you a presentation, and then hopefully, you know, if the township is supportive of such an idea, you can give staff some direction as to how you think we might proceed. Okay?
Do you need this, Trace?
Mia, do you need a separate microphone, or is this okay?
Bless you. Bless
You know, yeah, you go back and forth with the microphone.
They're going to need
Because there's two of them.
Oh, here, I'll get it.
Thank you. We're short.
I think there's only 3 copies. So
I already saw.
I saw it too.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
There.
So thank you for allowing us to present today. I hope it's worthwhile. My name is Mia Pachowski. I'm the project manager, and today I'm joined by Mr. Gary Zamaro. He is the president of Archbishop Wood. Mr. Kevin McLemore. He is the director of STEM education at Archbishop Wood. Presenting with me today is Nick Loiser. He is our lead architect. Next to him is Tom Warner. He is our logistics manager and design team member. Then we have Rob Garini, our design team member and landscape design, and Connor Sears, our student relations. So first, I'm going to describe who we are. After that, I will state the problem. Then we will give surveys. After that, Nick will offer the solution. Then he will talk about safety features of our solution. And then we will take any questions. And if you do have any questions at any time during the presentation, please feel free to ask them. So we are the Archbishop Wood Architectural Design Team, partaking in one of the new STEM courses at Archbishop Wood High School. These STEM courses, in these STEM courses, we do a lot of project-oriented work, and a lot of hands-on work is stressed. For example, you see us doing hands-on work in this project. We are making bridges out of nothing but paper and glue. In the next pictures, you see us working in the workshop, and you see us working on robotics in the robotics portion of our engineering class last year. We also took a couple field trips. One field trip, we visited a local company called Navmar Applied Sciences, and they make drones for the military. And in the other field trip, we visited a company called Seabox, and they are located in New Jersey, and they turn used shipping containers into facilities for the military. So our experiences thus far in the engineering class, well, first of all, in the engineering class, we learn what is called the project process. And this process is a process that is used by many engineers and architects in the field. And this project process stresses defining the problem, gathering requirements, creating a prototype, and quality control. So we use this project process to establish a bus shelter that is going to sit on the southwest corner of York and Street Road. So problems with the current stop. As you can see from the pictures, the bus stop is very unsafe. For example, we talked to some local riders, and they said that when it is raining or it is snowing, or even if it's cold, they will wait in the local Giant. Now, this is a problem because when they do wait in the local Giant, it causes them to have to run across the retention basin and across the parking lot. This could be a liability because what happens if they get hit by a car, or maybe they'll fall in the retention basin, or they could even slip in the mud. Another problem with this stop is that there is no concrete pad for the riders to stand on. There is only a muddy ground. Now, the problem with this muddy ground is that many people that take this stop often work in Centerpoint Shopping Center, or they work in the shopping center next to Centerpoint, and they have to wear their work uniform. So by standing in the muddy ground, they could potentially ruin their work uniform. This stop is also a hazard because it does not comply with ADA standards. Now, ADA stands for the American Disabilities Act, and this means that no handicap-accessible people can reach the stop because, as you can see from the pictures, there is no sidewalk and there is no concrete pad for them to sit on. The bus stop also, who remembers the blizzard about a month ago?
Some of us more than others.
Well, as you know, we had a lot of snow, and one problem was that the street was paved, but the bus stop was not. And a lot of the snow from the street got pushed onto the curb. Now, this was a problem because on my way to school and driving to Giant, where I work, I noticed that many of the riders were waiting in the street. This is a major safety hazard because, as you can see, York Road does not have a shoulder, so there was really no safe place for them to stand, and they can't stand in the snow, so they were forced to stand in the street. We're not the only ones that feel this way. One other problem with this stop is that it lacks adequate lighting at night. And this is a safety hazard for women and children especially because many times in this day and age it might not be safe for women and children to stand in a dark spot. Now, we're not the only ones that feel this way. We talk to riders, local businessmen, and citizens of Warminster Township, and we asked them some questions. The first question we asked was, what kind of picture does this paint for Warminster Township? The unanimous response was negative, and a sample response was a pretty bad one. It looks as if they do not really care about their public image. Now, we know you care about your public image. You're all on the board, so it's pretty obvious that you do care. And we feel as if a bus shelter at this location would enhance this image. Another question we asked was, does this give you a positive feeling about Warminster Township? And like the previous question, the responses were negative, and the sample response that we received was, not really. They are using shopping carts as seats. In one of the pictures before, you did see the shopping carts, and it was kind of funny because one day I was driving by and there was even plastic chairs there. I think Ms. Tackett told us in the previous meeting that she thinks that the plastic chairs were taken from Mike's Bar and Grill, which is a restaurant next to it. It was just kind of funny because it was so out of the ordinary. And a lot of times driving by, I see many of the shopping carts in the retention basin. I guess they just roll down the hill.
We know Mike's has outdoor seating, but that's...
Right.
Yes. It's a little far. And the final question we asked was, would this stop encourage you to visit Warminster Township if you relied upon public transportation? And a sample response we received was no, especially not when there is bad weather. Now, we go to a Catholic school, and we believe that it is our duty to allow some people who have no other choice but to work in Centerpoint Shopping Center because they may live in poorer parts of Pennsylvania, and some of them are forced to work in Centerpoint Shopping Center. So we feel as if it is our duty to kind of allow them a safe way of reaching Centerpoint, and we want them to feel welcome when they come to Warminster Township. So now I'm going to hand it off to our lead architect, Nick Loiser, and he's going to talk about the design philosophy behind our shelter.
Thank you, Mia. So my design philosophy consisted of a couple things. First of all, I wanted it to be green, both in the sense that environmentally friendliness and in the literal sense because it's a suburb. There's a lot of plant life around. I also wanted it to be efficient, and I want the design to be nice. I want it to be something that people are going to drive by and that they can appreciate, not just 3 sides and the roof. Something that's simple yet elegant. So as you can see, built on a solid concrete pad, and this will keep it. This will keep the bus shelter nice and dry. The frame is made of will be made of either anodized aluminum or steel for strength. If you look at this picture, you'll notice it has a steep gabled roof, and a highlighted portion of that you can see is where we have planned for some stained glass. Now, are any of you familiar with Bryn Athyn Cathedral? There's very nice stained glass designs in there, probably some of the best in the country, and the stained glass in there was produced by a company called Willett Hauser. Now, we got in touch with them and we got a quote for the stained glass, which I'm going to talk about a little more later. You can also notice the roof. The back is a half conical shape, and what this is going to allow for is that the snow and the ice will fall to the sides and the back, and will keep the front of it clear. And this will make it easier for maintenance. There's also a soffit on the front, and this is going to allow for if rain is falling at an angle, it will keep the people inside dry. Now this is a mock-up of what the bus stop looks like at present. You can see the sign is where the bus stop is. You'll notice some indentations in the grass. That's where people stand. We're a little concerned how close that is to the street. You'll also notice the bank in the background. About 100 feet to the south is where the parking lot of Mike's Bar and Grill is, and about 300 feet to the north is where the actual intersection of Street and York Road is. And I'd like to add that this summer there was a project by PennDOT where they installed 4 new handicap ramps into this intersection. Now this is what our bus shelter would look like in place. You'll notice some of the features I talked about, and the sidewalks are not currently shown in the picture. We haven't figured out where exactly they will go. It can either connect to Mike's parking lot, it can connect to the intersection, or hopefully both.
One thing I would like to add is that we designed this shelter with the community in mind. As you know, Warminster Township is a suburban community. We are surrounded by a lot of greenery, so we put a green roof on it. Also, we wanted it to be environmentally friendly, so we put solar panels on it. And each solar panel generates 80 watts of electricity, and so that's a total of 160 watts. What?
And I'd also like to point out the stained glass there that I talked about earlier. In the center, it might be kind of hard to see, but you'll notice the Archbishop Wood logo.
All right.
Why not? The symbol for the old Navy base at Willow Grove, and the Warminster Township seal. And the background is a multicolored design. This represents the diversity of the community. And you'll also, one last feature is the bench in the back. It's curved, just as the back of the shelter is, and it will feature anti-sleeping bars, which would prevent a homeless person from sleeping there overnight.
I'd also like to add, we also are going to put a wire mesh netting on near the to block off the roof area so that no birds or any small critters can potentially nest up there.
Now I'd like to talk about some of the safety features. One of the first safety features is the curved back. Now we took our design to SEPTA, and they really encourage the elimination of corners for purposes of someone getting cornered, crime, but also it makes the design feel more open. So the back is curved and it's made of solid glass block. Now this glass block is 3 inches by 3 inches by 3 inches solid. It's very difficult to break. In the event that one does break, one can be replaced without having to replace the whole thing. The grout can be mixed with silicone, which will prevent it, make it more
Resistant.
Make it more resistant to spray paint. And the block itself is pretty resistant to spray paint. And it's also, if someone's approaching the shelter at night, or any time really, they'll be able to see if someone is inside it.
It's we also designed the back wall in a curved shape. This eliminates any 90-degree corners, so one may to eliminate the feeling of if someone may feel trapped or anything like that.
Another feature is the LED lighting. Now, Mia mentioned before there's 2 solar panels, and they combined produce 160 watts of electricity. Now, LED lights do not take up that much electricity, so there will be batteries, and if any electricity is not used up, it will be sold back to PECO, and whoever owns the shelter will be credited for that. It will also make a very nice impression when this LED lighting lights up all that stained glass and people will drive by at night and look and see how beautiful it is.
LED lights are also more maintenance friendly. For example, if one light does get blown out or it gets knocked out or something, the rest of the lights will stay on.
And they don't have to be replaced for quite a long time. And one of the last features is a trash can. Now you might be thinking, how could a trash can be a feature? But in the world we live in today, with the threat of terror, it's important to know that some police officer or pretty much anyone that drives by or walks by will know that there's nothing in that trash can that shouldn't be. Also, when people who are going to service the stop empty the trash cans or whatnot will be able to see when it's full. And the trash can will also be at the correct level for a person in a wheelchair to be able to access it, as will the map in the back of the bus stop, which was shown in an earlier picture.
I hope we hope we were able to convince you that this shelter would be worthwhile for Warminster Township. And now I will open the floor to any questions.
Any questions from the board? Comments?
It's a beautiful, innovative design.
Thank you.
Congratulate you on that. I have a couple questions. The stained glass that you have, are you concerned that there could be vandalism and the stained glass could be broken because that's very expensive to replace?
We do have a couple of safety precautions because of this. We talked to SEPTA, and they recommended that, because they do have a couple bus shelters with stained glass, so they recommended that we put a clear plexiglass or Lexane panel in front of it so that if someone does throw rocks, it won't hit the stained glass. Also, the plexiglass or Lexane will be covered with a vandal-proof film. It's basically a clear sheet that can go over. So if someone does spray paint or tag it, the film can be easily removed and replaced.
I'm also excited that it is eco-friendly.
Yes.
The only other question I have is the trash can. Is it going to be heavy where people cannot move it or take it?
It is the
I'm
trash
a little
can.
concerned about that.
We attach the trash can to the side of the shelter, as you can see from our model. Yes.
Excellent.
So the only thing
okay.
that has to be, the bag just has to be removed.
Okay, I couldn't tell from the picture. Thank you. That's the only questions I have. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
And also, while you're looking at the model, the man inside is 5'11", to give you an idea of the scale.
Oh,
Wow. That is beautiful.
The only thing I'll say is, I mean, how many times have we driven past this? I mean, speaking for myself, probably thousands of times, and this never occurred to me. So you guys blew me away. I really commend your team.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just add that I think you guys did an excellent job with your presentation. I think you're really meeting a community need. As Brian said, how many times in the rain you drove by York Road and people are getting soaked waiting for the bus, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Wood grad. But Troy, obviously you guys came before the Planning Commission. It was recommended from the Planning Commission to this go to the Board of Supervisors. You came the other night to the Economic Development Committee meeting, and again, the Economic Development Committee recommended to the Board of Supervisors this project. But why don't you talk a little bit more about the Economic Development Committee in terms of the solar panels? Because there was a guest there. I'll let you.
Yes. We were joined by a guest, Barry Moore. He owns Moore Energy, and he offered to donate our 2 solar panels to the bus shelter if it does get approved and if we are able to build it.
Oh, that's terrific.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Terrific.
And so what kind of interaction have you had with the owner of the property?
I called him last night, and Mr. McLemore has been in touch with him. I called him last night, and I left a message, and I'm waiting to hear back from him. If I don't hear back from him by tomorrow, I will give him another call.
Wait, you mean the owner of the property or the Moore Energy?
The owner of the shopping center.
Oh,
The
sorry.
owner of the shopping center.
We met with, I've been in touch with Mr. McManus since about January, and last week we actually met with him and presented to him, and he is willing, he expressed interest in buying some advertising space and potentially funding some of this.
That's excellent. Excellent.
Right.
Yeah. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Mr. Crowley, you have anything?
Well, first of all, excellent presentation.
Thank you.
It was as good, if not better, than the presentation that you did for the Economic Development Committee the other night. I think when we look at moving forward, looking at our community, and you bring up some good points, is we're a suburb, but we have to look at the 21st century. We have to have up-to-date public transportation facilities. We're doing a lot of work around the train station. You've brought to light a gap in where we don't have a lot of bus shelters, if any. We don't have many bus stops, but the ones we do tend to be exposed to the elements on busy roads. So you're doing a great job, a great service of bringing this to light. You guys have put in a ton of work, both your advisors and the students yourselves. I mean, I'm not going to get into all the questions. I'll let Steve play Debbie Downer if he wants to later. We all know that there's with any bureaucracy, there's a ton to go through.
Yes.
But I'm very encouraged with where we're starting from, and I'm very impressed by the entire class and your thoughts. The one thing I would say that Center Point Shopping Center is a nice place to work. It came off a little harsh in the presentation. You know, it's not the seventh level of hell, but it's. But you make a great point. We want to have a diversity of businesses in here, and some of the businesses are located in that shopping center. People come from out of town, and not everybody can afford to take the train. Some people have to take the bus, and they deserve the same level of accessibility, treatment, and respect that the people who can afford to drive there or take the train to get there do. So I look forward to seeing how we can help this along, and knock wood, we will make this a reality in the future.
Okay.
And I totally concur with all of my board members' comments. I think it's a terrific undertaking that you've taken here, and I'm really glad that it's eco-friendly, so that'll save our friend Mr. Menkes a trip to the podium, that it's eco-friendly as well. And I think there's a bit of a consensus with the board here that we're all really in favor of having the staff work on this. So I'm going to, do you have any further comments, Mr. Wiesner?
I just will make a couple. I think the students did an excellent job.
Thank you.
And we addressed some of the challenges that there are, not to be a Debbie Downer, but we to make this a reality, we would have to make a couple of changes to our zoning ordinance. Not insurmountable by any stretch of the imagination. We think that part of our zoning ordinance is just old and didn't contemplate something like this, and we should evaluate it for that purpose. We also need to just consider whether or not the type and or if we would have advertising. But either of those things, we think, if you believe that the students made a compelling argument tonight, then a positive affirmative vote to direct me, Tracy Tackett, and our team to research what those hurdles would be and to come up with some solutions, that would be appropriate for tonight, we
And
believe.
can we do that by consensus? We don't need to take a vote, do we?
Well, either way. You could take a vote if you'd like, and you...
Not call for a motion.
We can call for a motion.
Or
Yeah.
call for a motion to
Motion?
instruct the staff to move forward with this.
Motion for the township to move forward with the Archbishop Woods bus stop project.
Mr. McPhillips made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Frescator, is there any further comment from the board? Any comment from the public? Larry, I knew you. Larry, I knew we weren't getting away that easy.
You got to come up, Larry.
Hustle it up, Larry. It's Patty's Day.
I'll speak this time as a member of the UAC here in Warminster, and I would just like to suggest that if you have a trash container there, that you consider a recycle container with it. And I have some sources that might be willing to donate something like that.
Excellent.
And they're already used up at Del Val and a few other places. So that way we can avoid people coming by and saying, well, they could have at least put a recycle container there.
Excellent. Excellent suggestion.
Thanks, Larry.
If there's no other comment from the public, I'm going to, Mr. DeRosa, come on up, Scott. Good to see you in the room tonight.
Hello, Scott DeRosa, Browning Drive, Warminster. I was at the Economic Development Committee when they presented, and they did a great job. Tonight was even better. I think it's a great project. I think they put a lot of work into it, and I think it will improve that intersection. I'm glad to see that you're on board with it.
Excellent. Great. Excellent. If there's no other comments, I'm going to call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you, guys.
give them just a chance to.
I just want to give them a minute to clear out.
Yep.
Do we need to take a recess? Or
No, no,
No, no.
Are we doing a check?
Yeah,
Is Karen here?
People drive through the township.
Okay, the next,
Something you say, oh, I'm in Warminster.
thank you, Gary.
That's something that could be.
The next item on our agenda tonight is a check presentation, and we have Rich Dunbar here from the Philadelphia Regional Sports Car Club of America, who is presenting a check for $1,000 to the township for use in the community park. And I'd like to ask Rich to come up along with Ms. Whitney. Oh. Rich, we're always glad to accept the check, so why don't you tell us a little bit about your organization?
Sure. The Sports Car Club of America, Philadelphia region, has over 800 members, and one of the events that we run is called Autocross, where we like to allow car enthusiasts to come out in a very safe environment. We set up a course on the runway, in this case, at the park with traffic cones, and people just run against themselves and the clock. And it's a great outlet for people of all ages to come out and enjoy running their cars and seeing how quickly they can navigate the course and kind of competing against one another. So that's one aspect of it. And we've been doing this, Karen and I were talking, this will be our 12th year of running out at the park, and we were very appreciative of being able to do that. The other thing that we started to do about 6 or 7 years ago was offer a teen driving program called Street Survival. It's sponsored nationally by the Tire Rack, and the Sports Car Club of America and the BMW Car Club of America underwrite the costs for it. And we typically run 1 or 2 of those a year at the park. And it's all about teaching teen drivers what they need to know beyond the basics of getting a driver's license. So we teach them how to handle situations they're going to encounter on the road in a very, again, safe and controlled environment, and the facility is wonderful for that. No texting, how to handle if something falls off a car in front of you, or you need to do a sudden lane change, those types of things, and we've had tremendous results of that. Over the years, we've trained upwards of 250 kids out at the park to be better drivers. So in addition to having fun with cars, we also like to give back to the community through that program.
Excellent. That's excellent, Rich. We really appreciate it, and we thank you, and thank your organization for coming to Warminster, and we appreciate it.
Yep, and here you go, Karen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Karen's great to work with, and it's a wonderful relationship we have with her.
Can I just say a few words also? They are a really good group to work with. We've been really blessed. They're extremely safe out on the runway, and they've also given several times. They've given to the community, both in monetary donations and in things. They have been out working on the runway, trying to keep it up and safe. We've been doing some concrete work out there with them and their volunteers. We've also had the opportunity, they purchased for our playground out at Warminster Community Park 3 great little sport cars, so that was added to our playground program. So we really appreciate all that they do for the community. So thank you very much, Rich, and your group.
Thank you very much. Up on our agenda is a public hearing for ordinance number 728. I'm going to pass that over to Mr. Savona.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the township has advertised for adoption this evening ordinance number 728, which is an ordinance approving and ratifying an intergovernmental agreement under the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act for Warminster to partner with 8 other municipalities, including Bucks County, the Central Bucks Regional Police Commission, Chalfont Borough, Buckingham Township, Plumstead Township, Warrington Township, Lower Southampton Township, Northampton Township, in order to apply for Department of Justice grant for funds to assist with the acquisition of body-worn cameras for the police departments of the various municipalities. The agreement was actually signed and entered into on June 15th, 2015, so I understand that the grant has been approved. The township is required under the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act to approve intergovernmental agreements by ordinance, so the approval of this ordinance will allow us to draw down on the grant funds that are accessible under this grant.
Are we ready for a motion?
Motion would be in order to approve ordinance 728.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. McPhillips, second?
Second.
Mr. Monroe? Is there any comment from the board?
I'd just like to say, anything that supports our police department and keeps our policemen safe, I'm all for it. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Any other comment from the board? Any comment from the public? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, 5-0. The next up is public comment. Township residents have the opportunity at this time to comment on any non-agenda items, subject to a 5-minute guideline as recognized by the chair. Is there any public comment? Yes, sir, come on up. Please state your name and address, please.
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alex Dershko. I live at 59 Evergreen Avenue. Came today with a complaint. It was basically it's a long story continuing. It's about that hookah bar across the street. It's been very noisy lately. We had to call police numerous times before, and I believe was it a few years ago we had a lawsuit, and I was I took a time off work and testified. I would like to know what's the outcome of that, of that deal, and can we pursue any other, I would say, activity against them?
I understand. Well, I'm going to pass that off to Mr. Wiesner, because he'd like to comment on that.
Yes, there was this was a matter of the zoning hearing board, I believe, at one time, and there was an agreement set for parameters on the operation of the hookah bar. And so I certainly appreciate you bringing this to our attention. I will start looking at that again tomorrow. And I know when the weather breaks, sometimes that's when we see a lot more activity, especially outside. So I suspect that that's part of what your complaint is, and I believe that that's covered in the agreement. But
I know it is.
I'll confirm that, and we will be out to address the situation to make sure that they are in compliance.
I definitely appreciate that, but it's not just the weather related. I think these people lost the sense what they're supposed to do, because usually on the weekdays they're not busy, so it's been slow, and they think that weekdays are okay, but the weekends they can do whatever they want to do. After the police is called, what they do, they just turn the music a little down. As soon as the police leaves, is everything back in business. So they just it's like complete disregard and disrespect to everybody, not just to the neighbors, but to the police and to the residents.
Well, I'm glad you're here to bring this up, because I know a couple of years ago someone came to the podium and told us about the original problem.
That was actually me, sir.
We had no idea there was a problem there. So, I mean,
Can I ask? I remember very clearly first time you came. It's two and a half years ago.
It was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. Now the noise issue, obviously, I'm with you on. At the time, there was a lot of. Are you still finding paraphernalia?
Absolutely. They cleaned the trash after them,
Right.
but they patronage. You can just imagine they advertise 18 to come in, 21 to
Right.
bring your own bottle. It's straight.
Right.
It's the kind of business this is.
Right.
So I have 2 little kids, preschool and first grade, and my wife is terrified.
no, you shouldn't be subject to it. I totally agree with you.
Yes.
I'd like to ask a question. Is part of the issue the way the ordinances are written in regards to enforcing them? Like, for example, he mentioned noise. I know that there's been a lot of complaints in regards to the way the noise ordinance has been written in regards to having a decibel reader.
What I think is appropriate at this point, the chief and I spoke before the meeting. They are looking into this as well. I think at this point, I don't really want to get into commenting on enforcement issues, just because I think, as Mr. Wiesner said, there is some existing adjudication or an agreement that was entered in front of the zoning hearing board. I know that the police department is looking at this. I'd like the opportunity to sort of take it offline, coordinate with the various township offices, and figure out what makes the most sense as far as solving your problem, sir.
And I would like to make another comment. These people are running a nightclub in the front of my windows. I don't know how the zoning words this. I know it's a possibility of have a private club and this and that, but not a night dancing club. 100. It's less than 100 feet from my windows, not just for light, from my windows.
Well, I think if we give Mr. Savona and Mr. Wiesner a little bit of time, and not a lot, they'll look into it. And I know the chief's fully aware of the situation now. I mean, I don't want to step in it either by saying this or that. But I know that there's multiple ways that we can attack this problem. And I'm upset that you're facing it again. I had been hopeful that it had been solved the first time around, but I'm disappointed here it hasn't. I think you have everybody's support up here,
Yes.
and we'll direct our professionals to, we'll stick with you. We're with you.
I appreciate it, and if you could just be informed about it later.
Mr. Wiesner will keep you informed. If you give us your contact information, you probably have it, but just in case, updated contact information, Mr. Wiesner will keep you informed.
And I just have another small issue question, and it might be also very helpful for all residents. We all know this upcoming Zika virus stuff, and the season is, the mosquitoes going to breed pretty soon. I noticed, there's a neighbor next door, it's probably a rental property or something, There's empty buckets and stuff, but this is not just a single issue. Maybe as a township, we're supposed to like to send some information to people, just to point the problem. But so this year is not just mosquito, they're going to bug you, but they may actually, do a lot
Remind
of harm.
people not to leave standing water.
Absolutely,
invite
yeah.
mosquitoes.
And also remind of the responsibility of, neglect the properties, as far as fines and.
We can certainly do that. Ironically, the Bucks County has alerted us of their West Nile spraying program. That doesn't take care of the Zika-type mosquitoes, we've recently learned. But we will be participating in that again. We think that's a very worthwhile program. Bucks County Health Department does a great job with that. I believe they have some other information on their website regarding the Zika virus and mosquitoes. I'm not positive, but if they do, I'll draw that down and we'll put it on our website as well.
But what I had in mind, maybe just like maybe mail out the letters to all the residents, like with a special attention. Guys, keep your yards free of the standing water.
I don't know if we'll be able to mail a letter, but and the Bucks County Health Department usually takes the lead in these types of issues because that's what their purview is. But we certainly next year could consider putting it in our spring newsletter, and we do have a fall newsletter coming out, so that may be an opportunity that we can look at to see if we can include that information as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there any other public comment? Come on up,
No,
Larry.
it's not a public comment yet. For those of us that don't understand, what is a hookah bar?
A hookah bar. How would we explain a hookah bar?
You know what a hookah is?
Yeah,
Something you don't want to cross the street from your house.
So,
that's what it isn't.
it's I call them head shops, but it's a place where you go and they provide these hookah pipes, the water pipes that you can purchase tobacco and sit in the hookah bar and smoke in that environment without having to worry about smoking regulations and things like that. So they sell, depending on the place, they sell the tobacco products, they sell coffee, they sell snacks, whatever else they do.
Who knows what else they say?
Who knows what else, right. Unfortunately, in a lot of areas, they have become sort of, they expand their business into things that are not necessarily what you traditionally find in a smoke shop, into, as he said, areas that some of them consider themselves as BYO establishments, and you bring your own liquor and you can sit and smoke and drink while you're hanging out, or they play music, or they get into all sorts of other things that are not really related to the primary use.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, and thank you for bringing that forward again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Megan, could you,
Yeah, if
Megan
you
will
do
take it.
whatever Megan wants.
Thank you.
While you're doing that, I'm going to call in, is there any other public comment? Larry?
Yes, my name is Larry Menkes. I'm a resident of 741 Clifford Street in Warminster. And I have a lot of concerns about what has been in the newspaper and elsewhere about the water issues in Warminster Township. I think these are serious issues, and I would like to just have a moment to speak my piece just as a citizen about this. By the way, Warminster has been identified as having 3 times the national average of bladder cancer. I have bladder cancer. I've been drinking this water since I moved in here about 20 years ago. My wife's been drinking it. She's in Doylestown Hospital right now with an autoimmune disease possibly that almost killed her. So I have a real personal axe to grind, if you want to put this. So the questions and concerns I have are, what are the effects on my health beside bladder cancer? And what could they, and I could give you this piece of paper because I know this by heart, what could they have to do with my wife's condition? I'd like to have a full disclosure of what was known and when it was known. Not too important.
I'm going to pass that to Mr. Wiesner, because he was going to talk about that tonight anyway.
Well, I didn't see it on the agenda, but did I miss something there?
No, go, please proceed, sir.
Full disclosure of what is in the water or was in the water. What are the known health effects and the risks of PFOAs and PFOSs? What are the effects on animals, specifically pets and farm animals? This is a long-standing issue, and I think that that's important. I would like to know something else about this, because this has a 5-year half-life in the body, and a lot of people, this is an upwardly mobile community as far as I've been able to tell, and a lot of people from Warminster have moved out that have no idea that they've been exposed and what's being done to help them. Finally, I understand that the notices have gone out to the owners of the water meter at places like condos and homeowners associations. These letters have not necessarily gone to the residents of these facilities, some of whom expressed to me concern that they hadn't heard anything about this. And that's not fair to them. It may be unfair to these communities because they were supplying the water, but I think that a full disclosure and transparency in this will go a long way to restoring confidence that some of us have in the water supply. And I think that this would help business in the township. I think if I were moving into Warminster Township after seeing the 4-page spread that came out of the Courier Times, I would be hesitant. Home values might be impacted because this stuff is pretty persistent in the environment. And finally, Bernie O'Neill and somebody else recommended an epidemiological study to be done as soon as possible on this. And this has been done before in other cases like this, and I think that this is the most important thing to do now and to get it started as soon as possible. So you're charged with protecting public safety. This is a big public safety threat, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
If I can just respond quickly, and Larry, I would encourage you to, on the 24th and 25th of May.
I'll be there.
Great, and this is a great time to announce it to the public. There will be an open house over at the Horsham Community Center, and that's at 1025 Horsham Road, Horsham, PA, regarding both our base and the Horsham base. Navy officials, scientists, the EPA, the DEP, have been encouraged to come. The township has encouraged them as well to come to that open house so that they can answer these questions. We, of course, are not scientists, but the scientists will be at that meeting, and they will be there to answer many of the questions that you just identified. There have been 3 other open houses, one in Warminster Township approximately 12 months ago. I expect that there may be even more. So as Larry had mentioned, please come to this open house. We would encourage all residents to come if you have any interest in this subject. Again, it's going to be at the Horsham Township Community Center, 1025 Horsham Road, May 24th from 5 to 7 p.m., and again on May 25th, that's Saturday, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And you will be able to interact with all of the scientists, the Navy, and those that are dealing with this issue, including the Water Authority will be there as well. So thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Larry. And just so you know, all of us on the board have the same concerns as you. I raised 3 children here in the township. We have the same questions we want answered. And again, we encourage everybody who has these concerns to please attend this meeting with the EPA and the scientists that Mr. Wiesner said, and also the Navy will have representation also. So thank you for your comments.
I would just like to stress that we don't need that to begin an epidemiological study. These are 2 separate things.
Okay. Let's move on.
Is there any other public comment? Any other comment from the public? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move on to the consent agenda. Mr. Wiesner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Consent agenda item A is authorization to advertise tree removal, maintenance, planting, and inoculation bid. Karen Whitney is shepherding this project. We haven't done it in the past. We think it's a good idea to bid this work out. So we will look for your approval to do the bid advertisement, and we'd look at April or May, hopefully the April meeting, to bring the bids forward to the Board of Supervisors. Item number 2, consider approval of the February 18th Board of Supervisors minutes. Number 3, authorize Township Manager to execute all notices and other papers required by the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board. This is an annual thing that the Township does. We have a liquor license over at Five Ponds Golf Course, and in order to keep that compliant, we have to send in this authorization on an annual basis. Number D, Police and Fire Federal Credit Union, Land Development number 15-16. An action letter was previously approved by the Board of Supervisors. We missed a couple of minor items that were in it. We're asking for authorization to resend a new action letter with the waivers more correctly identified in that letter. It's just a simple matter, but we thought the formality of getting it approved would be appropriate. Item E, consider application for payment number 2, final, for the Warminster Township paving program. Karen Holsheiser from our engineer's office has assisted us with this. This is the final payment. The work has been inspected, and all is found to be in order. That is for $21,543.74. Item F, consider adopting Resolution 2016-16, authorizing the execution of a traffic signal associated with the 622 Jacksonville Road Retail Development Project. I don't know if you'll recall, but when this project got approved, one of the conditions was that they go forward with the review of that traffic signal. That this authorization allows them to do that, so they'll do that with PennDOT.
What traffic, what project?
It is the Chick-fil-A and 2 other pad sites at that location. I believe I'm on item G. G, consider application for payment number 1, final bid for the network switch closed loop traffic system. This is the final. Karen Holsheiser's office again has reviewed this and found it to be in order. This was an Arley grant, and this is the final payment of $24,990, which we're very excited that we finished that project. Item H, authorize Township Manager to execute Margaret Linder agreement for entering into the defined benefit plan. Peggy Linder came to the Township just before we did our defined contribution plan, and there was a period of time where it should be considered to go into either of those pension plans, and she has opted to be in the defined benefit plan. This authorizes that. Item I, consider release number 4 from escrow account for the County View Land Development Phase 2 project. Standard item, although it's a lot of money, $291,953.86. It's a rather large land development. Our engineer's office has reviewed the work and has found it to be completed, and this is a standard release for that money of the financial security that we have.
Is that the final release?
No, it's not. Still one more of somewhat equal amount.
251.
251.
That's what's remaining.
And then the final item is appoint Rich O'Brien of Keystone Municipal Services as zoning officer and Scott Fleischer of Keystone Municipal Services as the assistant zoning officer. Jim Ennis, who is our current zoning officer of Keystone Municipal Services, has accepted another position. We wish him the best. He did a great job here as zoning officer. We thank him for all his work. Rich O'Brien was his boss, so we're thinking we're getting a good guy here as well. So we're asking for authorization to appoint Rich as the zoning officer and Scott Fleischer, who is currently in our inspections department and very knowledgeable about zoning issues as well, but has never served as a zoning officer, to be that assistant. That is the consent agenda.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda?
Motion.
Mr. Monroe, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Frescatore, is there any discussion on consent agenda? Any comment from the board? Any comment from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, next up is the treasurer's report. Mr. Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to accept a bill list and 2 supplemental bill lists. Bill list dated March 17th, 2016, in the amount of $966,084.88. A supplemental bill list dated March 2nd, 2016, in the amount of $385,162.56. and a supplemental bill list dated March 16th, 2016, in the amount of $112,267.64, and that is a total of $1,463,515.08.
Okay, Mr. Monroe made that motion, and was there a second?
A second.
Mr. McPhillips, is there any comment? Any comment from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Mr. Monroe, transfers?
I do not have the transfers.
I apologize. There is a transfer list, I believe, for February. Let me see if we have it in the packet. We can approve that at the next meeting.
Okay.
We'll just do it at the April meeting. So I apologize that it's not
No,
in
it's
your
in
packet.
here.
Is it in it?
Yeah.
Brian, would you like me to read it? Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. The February transfers these are the standard transfers that the township does to pay all of the bills in all of the funds. So we have a general fund and we have a cash disbursement account, and all of the bills come from that cash disbursement account. The transfer list dated 2/29/2016 transfers it from the subsequent funds or from all the sub-funds into the cash disbursements fund. I'll read the amounts. I don't know if we typically do that, but I'll read the total. $1,461.33.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Monroe, is there a second?
Thank you, Mike. No problem.
Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. McPhillips, any question on the transfer? Any comments? Any comment from the public? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Motion carries. Next up is the February financial statement. Mr. Wiesner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The February financial statement is in your packet. I also have a copy at the back of the room if the public is interested in it. We also put at the back of the room the December, last year's final report for December 31st. We'll keep that at the back if anyone's interested in it. I have some very encouraging things to report. Our revenues are trending higher than expected. Now, when we did our budget, we always talk about budgeting conservatively. So I budget revenues on a conservative basis. I take an acceptable range of revenues, and I budget on the lower end of that acceptable range. We have to estimate revenues, of course, but I don't want to estimate at the high end and then find out in June that it didn't come in. And on expenditures, we take an acceptable range, but we budget more on the high end, and that's what I call conservative budgeting. So I'm happy to report that our revenues are trending up. In particular, real estate transfer tax. About 4 or 5 years ago, our real estate transfer tax was approaching $1 million, but recently it had been very low. So I budget that very conservatively. I budgeted $550,000 for this year. We are already at $400,000, and that's because there were 2 very large, expensive parcels of property that got sold. So that's encouraging, but please remember, we have a deficit for this year, so we still need to make up that deficit. We budgeted a deficit last year as well. I budgeted conservatively, and we found that those revenue trends last year were better than what we expected, not by a great amount, but they did take up 100% of that deficit last year. So we had a very small surplus going into 2016. I'm hopeful for the same thing. This is very early, but there's a page on the front which is from our CPA, and it identifies all of the items that we have there. The other item I'd like to report is annually, the township, all townships in the state of Pennsylvania, must submit to the state a whole series of reports, annual reports, and the board's familiar with them because I have them sign all of them because I'm not allowed to sign them. But Catherine and Megan prepare these forms for the township, and one way that you can tell whether or not we get the forms in on time is whether or not we get our liquid fuels money on time. Because the state of Pennsylvania will not send your liquid fuels money out unless you get these forms in on time. So I'm happy to report that on March 21st, we will receive our liquid fuels check, which indicates that all the forms are in on time. And the liquid fuels check will be for $881,000. We budgeted $837,000, and I took that $837,000 right from the state. I think the state budgets conservatively as well, so we're happy to know that we got another $44,000 in that. Later in the agenda, I'll talk about the road program where we use that money.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wiesner. Next up is unfinished business. Warminster Community Park Improvements, Phase 3, grant application approval and presentation by Karen Whitney. Do you need this mic, Karen?
How are you all? Happy St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
St. Patrick's Day.
I'm all dressed.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of Irish in everyone today. I'm Karen Whitney, Warminster Township Parks and Recreation Director, and I'm just here to make a presentation tonight about our upcoming grant applications. I feel like I'm kind of a broken record because I think I've been here 3 or 4 times, made this presentation, but it's always good to have public participation in your grant applications, so that's why we're here tonight. This is kind of our last presentation. We are here tonight seeking approval from the Board of Supervisors for the 2 resolutions, one to the Bucks County Open Space Municipal Grant Program, and the other one to the DCNR, Department of Conservation and Resources, C2P2 program. So both resolutions are going to be up for tonight, even though we have not yet completed the full grant application for DCNR, but we are getting there. So, introduction. What we're talking about tonight is our, oops, it doesn't quite fit, but you can get the idea. Anyway, we're talking about the development of our 240-acre park. We hope to be, we're following our master site plan by applying for, applying for several grants. The first one is the open space grant, the municipal open space grant by the county. This is the referendum for open space purchase that the county uses to buy open space and also to make improvements to the parks. So we are using our remaining money, which is about $647,000, to match money for our state grant. And that has been approved already by the Open Space Review Board in concept. So at the end of March, I will go again before the Open Space Review Board with the final plans that we have created. I'd like to thank Karen Holsheiser from Gilmore for assisting us in preparing all these documentation. Thank you, Karen. Okay, so we're looking to get these 2 grants. This is kind of like a perfect storm for grant funding, and so that's what we're working on. One of the things that is really nice about this grant is we do have a lot of community partners. Envision Land Use has agreed to put in some money into this project. County Builders will be putting money into this project. Warminster Baseball and Softball, Warminster Soccer Club, the Friends of Warminster Parks. We've even had the EAC jump on board just recently, and they're going to help us with the design for the rain gardens. So we have a lot of different groups and organizations working. Some of them are providing monetary services, and some of them are giving us in-kind services. As I explained, why now? Why are we doing this now? Because we are coming to the end of our allocation for the county. We must commit to use the money by the end of 2016. So we really want to make sure that we don't have to give that money back or give it to a different community and use it to our best of our ability. We also have a possibility of getting a DCNR grant in the amount we're shooting for $500,000, so we can use our county money as our state money match, which is a 50-50 match, and then we don't have to use any money from the township coffers. So that's another good reason. We also have these partnerships that have stepped forward in the last 2 or 3 years, and those what we're going to use those monies. And the township, the Parks and Rec Department, has a good track record with both our county open space funds, using them and reporting on them, and also DCNR funds. So we think that bringing all those things together will create a good grant application for the community. The next this is the potential locations for the new recreation facilities. This is kind of a 5-pronged program. We are going to expand the parking lot that is currently located just across from Monroe Park in the Warminster Community Park where the soccer fields have been built. We're going to do an expansion for a full-size regulation soccer field. If you move down to closer to the bottom of the page, there's 2 baseball fields that we are looking for. With the closure of all of the elementary schools in Warminster Township, the baseball and soccer groups have lost a lot of field space, so we're trying to recap that by adding fields here in Warminster Community Park. This, what we call the sport quadrant, is the piece that you see right there, and that piece is designated in our master site plan to have all the sport facilities in it. So that's what we're looking for. If you go to a little bit to the left of the baseball fields, you will see a small brown square. That is a new pavilion with restrooms. We are hoping to install a pavilion very similar to the Hallowell Pavilion that is currently in place in the upper end of the park. That will have a septic system and rain garden. And then if you travel a little bit more to the left, you will see a little blue square, and that is our proposed touchpad spray park. I know Warminster community lost Murphy Swim Club, so this is kind of our alternative to a swim and pool situation without needing to have all of the certifications, because this is going to be a flow, kind of a sheet flow spray park. It is touchpad, so it only operates when you push a little button, and then you have to wait 3 or 4 seconds before water pops up somewhere on the touchpad. This is a 40 by 60 foot area, and we think it's going to be very successful. Just to the, I guess, to the west of it is going to be a holding tank for the water that comes off. We'll be using that gray water to help irrigate our ball fields. Just to the front of those two things, you'll see some parking. We anticipate putting in the roadway fully along the edge, which is now our current emergency services road, 26 feet wide. We're going to make that into an official road, which will allow us to open the park down at Bristol and Hatboro Roads, move people into the park and provide them with parking closer to these amenities in the park. So that we think this design may work. We're going to use the runway, so we just have to pave that. It will provide additional parking. One of the biggest complaints we get is that we don't have enough parking in the park right now. So we hope that this will help. We've created a nice barrier with trees and tree buffers around our spray park in the pavilion. We're using a lot of the trees that we already got from PHS, and then we're also going to be bringing in more larger trees. The other thing that we're going to be adding, because so many people use our runway as a bikeway right now, we're going to be adding a 12-foot wide bike and hike path that runs down the side. So that's kind of our basic plan for the new facilities. The scope of the project, as I said, is the spray park, which is 40 by 60, the pavilion with restrooms, the sport complex, and then all of the infrastructure that needs to go along with that. The potential funding sources include our Bucks County Municipal Open Space Program, and that's our $647,000. The township has to come up with a match of $161,975. That match is actually going to be paid for by our the two developers, County Builders and Envision Land Use. They are donating $180,000 towards this project. The second grant, the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, we are seeking a grant of $500,000. We have to do a 50-50 match with that, and so we're going to use our county money as our match for the C2P2 grant. Private funding includes our County Builders and our Envision Land Use. They are the two developers who have committed some funds to the township, and as I said before, they will be our township match. Our nonprofit partners include Warminster Baseball and Softball, Warminster Soccer, Friends of Warminster Parks. We've also had some discussions with Visit Bucks County, so we're looking to talk to them. And then, we just have anybody else who wants to jump on the bandwagon, any businesses that want to participate, we'd be happy to have you come and join us. The municipality, we have a healthy tree escrow, so we'll be using our tree funds to put in the new trees and some of the landscaping and the buffers. And then in-kind donations, some of the value from the township staff doing work, our Public Works Department doing some paving and some road work. The Gilmore has already done some work for us, which has been included, and the EAC will be working with us on the rain garden project. Here are the monies, the grants you see from the Municipal Open Space Funds, the DCNR money, the developers, the Tree Ordinance Fund, and the nonprofit monies come to $1,376,900. Our expenditures are the spray park with the irrigation tank, the pavilion with restrooms, the sport fields, the park amenities and landscaping, the stormwater, rain gardens, utilities, earthwork, roads, parking, bike and hike trails. That one comes to $1,376,111. So you see that right now our revenues exceed our expenditures. We still have some additional monies that we think will be coming in, and we also have some additional expenses as far as engineering is concerned. The next steps. We are here tonight seeking resolutions from the Board of Supervisors. There are two resolutions. One is 2016-14. This is the resolution for the Municipal Open Space Grant. And it just basically states that you guys are authorizing us to move forward with our grant application, and that you will provide the funds in 25% of the match, and that we will meet the county requirements. The second one is Resolution 2016-15. This is the resolution for the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, and it basically says the same thing, except now it's geared towards the state instead of the county, that we will provide the funds for the 50% match, and that we'll agree to abide by the state requirements. The open space review grant submission, it has already been sent up without the signatures because it had to be to the county 10 days before they go to their meeting. Their meeting will be on the 23rd, and I will go and make the same presentation to them at that meeting. They have already approved this process, this whole project in concept, so this will be their final approval meeting, and hopefully we'll be able to get that. Then the DCNR submission, that will go to the state on the 13th of April in 2016, and then we'll sit and wait to see if we get the money. Our timeline, county approvals, March for the Open Space Review Board, and then hopefully May for the county commissioners if it is approved at the March meeting. DCNR approvals, we will submit in April. We probably will not hear back from them until fall. That's typically October, early November we hear from them. And then that will be followed by state contracts, which we should get sometime in February, and then that will be followed by the preparation of the bidding documents and all of the plans, and then hopefully we'll put shovel to the earth sometime in fall of 2017.
Excellent. Excellent.
Does anyone have any questions?
Comments? Comments?
Thank you.
I have a few. I mean,
Just one more thing. We have already also made this presentation before the Planning Commission, and they have written a letter of support for the township. We have also received letters of support from the Department of Interior, from the Bucks County Planning Commission, from State Representative Bernie O'Neill, and from Senator Greenleaf's office. So.
I just have a couple of comments. We've been months and months finally bringing this forward. I see Mr. DeRosa's here tonight. He was involved in it initially, and Ms. Frescator has jumped on board. But I appreciate the time and effort that you and Ms. McDonough have put into this. It's been months and months, and we're finally starting to see it to possibly come to fruition. So I want you to go up to that Planning Commission and turn on the old Karen Whitney charm next week, and we'll get that grant going.
Hopefully we will.
It's a great plan, Karen, and I'm also very happy that we're replacing the fields that the kids lost. I think that's a really big concern in the township, and you're doing a great job with it. Thank you.
And there's a potential for more fields. This is just the beginning.
Yes, this is just kind of the first step of our master site plan. We do hope to continue to build some more ball fields and some additional fields on the site in that quadrant.
Before we take action, is there any other comments or questions?
Great job. Great work.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Kathleen. I'm going to move forward and call for a motion for the Bucks County Open Space Grant Resolution 2016/14.
Motion?
Ms. Frescator, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. McPhillips, is there any question on the resolution? Comment? No? Any comment from the public? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. And the second is the DCNR Grant Resolution 2016/15. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Crowley, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Monroe, is there any comment on the motion? Question? Any comment from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Karen.
Karen, before you leave, can I make just a quick comment and thank Karen and Kathy for all of their hard work, and and Karen Holsizer as well, who helped with the plan. I just wanted to make mention, when we did the budget, we didn't know where these numbers would be. So I want to commend you and your team on parlaying all of the available funding sources so that the township has to make a very small contribution on whole, but it really gets this project started. And we are utilizing the runway as we envisioned a long time ago. We're getting the ball fields there as we envisioned. So it is a big, big deal. But like I said, we didn't know where the numbers would be at the budget. So in April, I'll work with Karen and we'll make a budget amendment so that it meshes with Karen's plan for the grants. So we'll look for that in April.
I think that Squirter Park's going to be a real success, too. That's going to be a real draw to the park.
I think so, too. That's
Thanks,
the piece
Karen.
we're most excited
Thank
about.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
Kathy.
you, Karen. Okay, move on to new business. Review sketch plan for Home 2 Suites. Ms. Tackett, you want to introduce this?
Good evening. We have a sketch plan application for a Home 2 Suites on Veterans Way. They are proposing, it's an extended stay, proposal. This is just the sketch plan phase, so they have not gotten into engineering or that sort of level of detail. So really, they're kind of looking for feedback conceptually. This is not something you need to make a motion on. They went to the Planning Commission at the last meeting. The Planning Commission was quite supportive of the concept. There had been some comments from staff about the possibility of extending a sidewalk along the frontage of the property. I think that was, and then several of the Planning Commission members noted that there's no conference or meeting space of significance in the township, and that maybe they could consider that in their development. So they can certainly speak to that. With that, I'll turn it over to the applicant. Okay.
Thank you, Trace.
Good evening, Neil Stein representing the applicant. This is only a sketch plan, so by definition, we don't have a lot of detail at this point. We're really introducing the concept. The plan that you see by way of lay of the land, Street Road is at the top of the plan, Veterans Way is at the bottom of the plan, and Johnsville Boulevard is to the left. Existing uses, you have the First Niagara Bank, sort of in the upper left-hand corner. Next to that is a daycare, and to the right of that is the existing Holiday Inn. And I should point out, this proposal is being made by the owners of the Holiday Inn, so it's a different flag for them, but the same ownership.
Oh, is that right now?
Yes, same ownership. To the bottom of the plan, you'll see an existing office building. At one time, it also had Certino's Restaurant in there. In another few months, it's essentially going to be vacant when Swiss Log moves out of that building. To the right of that existing building is an existing pad that would have accommodated two more similar type of office buildings. The proposal is to remove those two pads and replace it with a Home 2 Suites hotel product. Home 2 is a Hilton flag. There's only one currently that I'm aware of in the vicinity, and that's in Philadelphia next to the convention center. There's a Marriott and a Home 2 Suites. This would be the first one, as far as I know, in the immediate Philadelphia suburbs. So kudos to Warminster Township for having this product in your area. It's only a product that's maybe 2 to 3 years old at this point, so relatively new across the country. The proposal would consist of 107 guest rooms with associated parking. It would be a 4-story building. We're currently tinkering around. Hope that's not a bad sign. Currently tinkering around with the architecture. We'll be able to show you that at a future meeting. As Tracy indicated, there is no proposal for a restaurant or conference facilities in the building. It is essentially a business suites hotel. The Planning Commission seemed very interested, however, in asking Hilton if they might modify their proposal. So we've reached out to them in terms of conference facilities to see what we can do about the architecture. In terms of food service, there's really only a breakfast buffet. Probably familiar with that continental type of situation at other hotels. So there is no restaurant here. The average stay at a suites of this nature is about 4 to 7 days. Again, it is tailored very much to the business traveler. And fortunately in Warminster, there are enough businesses that require people to come in and stay for that period of time. So in addition to the Holiday Inn being very well booked and very well occupied, most of the time there's an opportunity here to increase the number of hotel rooms in the area.
Yeah, someone told me that Holiday Inn has like a 90% occupancy rate.
They have a very high occupancy rate.
You don't see a lot of traffic in and out of there, bud.
Yeah, it's been very successful. So there's a lot of confidence that Hilton's going to do just as well. That's really it in terms of the proposal. We did get a number of review letters from the township staff. Nothing caused us any consternation. We feel that these are things we can comply with, including the request that somebody made about the sidewalk. I don't see a problem with that. So we're anxious to sort of get moving into the next stage of the process.
When would you be looking to come in with this?
If it's a concept that the board finds acceptable, I will from here go to the engineer's house, knock on the door, and tell him to start drawing.
Tell him we said hi.
He's probably watching basketball.
All right. Does anyone have any questions or comments of Neil on the?
Always welcome
Gotcha.
new business, and it's a great spot to put it.
That's better than all those white pipes sticking out of the ground when you drive.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, you think you can get Paris Hilton to come for the opening? To help
I don't personally
roll over to
have
Tony's
a
for happy hour
relationship with
afterwards.
her, but and I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know how to get in touch with her.
Is there any plans for the for the empty office building?
We're working on it right now. As I said, we had some bad luck with Certinos and Swiss Logs coming to the end of their lease, but we're actively marketing the property. I will tell you that office demand has gotten a little soft in this part of the world. So
perhaps another coffee shop would be, with this hotel coming, perhaps there'd be a demand for it. That
Well, you got that, and you got the medical center opening across the street.
Right.
Well, I mean, from my standpoint, when I look at it, I think, yeah, we've got a pad site there with a bunch of white pipes sticking out of the ground. Hilton's reputable brand, obviously. I've done a little research on this brand. It is a newer brand. It is seems like a mid-level value type, so it shouldn't have any problem fitting in. We're not putting like a super upscale suite in there. It's going to fit the environment. For me, it's all going to be making sure parking and traffic, especially so close to a daycare. That is primarily where I'll come from in terms of concerns. In terms of your plan as you laid out here, I see nothing to object to.
Anyone else have any
As
comments?
Mark said, I go to Costco all the time, and I don't see traffic in and out of there much either. I don't know why, but I never do.
Yeah, someone told me that occupancy rate is
Right.
No kidding.
So
It's because I'm often over there, and as Mark can be too on occasion, because at Kitty Academy, that parking lot is always full. You just never see them coming in and out.
Right.
And sometimes it mixes in with all the workers at Vertical Screen. So you don't know who's coming for Vertical Screen. That whole business park is starting to come together. And with all the businesses, for example, I work for a company in Ivyland. We do have people who come from the UK. Our head of our companies come from the UK. Where they stay? They stay at the Holiday Inn. They stay for a week. Now they'll have more options. But also another option, it will be people come to visit their relatives in Ann's Choice.
Right.
Yeah,
in Christ's
that's the
Home.
first thing I thought of when I saw it.
And it'll give them a more comfortable, a little bit more breathing space. So I definitely think there's a market for this, and I think it would be a nice addition. Granted, we get through all the hurdles we're going to have to do.
Neil, it appears to me that the board's very interested in seeing this move forward.
That's great. We appreciate it.
So we appreciate you coming. And is there any comment from the public? Any questions, comments from the public?
Go say hi to your engineer for us.
Yeah. I'm on my way.
All right. Thank you, Neil. Sorry about the
Thank you.
technical difficulty there.
No problem.
It's okay. We can, as soon as Neil packs up here, we can move on. Okay, the next thing we're going to move to under new business is the road paving program. And we have several items to take action on here, but I was hoping that we could take a minute before we take action just to go over the road program. I know we did it last year, how we pay for the road paving and the process. So I was going to ask Mr. Wiesner, perhaps Ms. Holzheiser, to touch on it briefly on how we get to where we are with the road program.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we talked earlier about the liquid fuels money that is coming into the township, and about $880,000, which is our primary funding source for paving roads in the township. That gets put into our liquid fuels fund. When anyone buys gas in the state of Pennsylvania, they pay a liquid fuel, goes to the state of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania allocates that down to municipalities based on miles of road. So with that money, we developed a 5-year road paving program, and this, we always have 5 years. We're at least looking out 5 years, so next year we'll add another year to the end. And each year we evaluate the roads. It's hard to say what's going to happen over the winter. We don't know how the subsurface of the road reacts to the winter. And many times we find out that a road that we didn't think needed to be paved does need it in the spring. So we remain a little bit flexible as well. But we have a number of roads that Karen has helped us with listing that will be paved this year, and Paul Lizzie, our road superintendent, as well. And tonight on your agenda are 4 items. One of them is authorization to advertise curb ramp and curb replacement bid for Warminster Township. Whenever we pave a road and there is a handicap ramp, we are required to upgrade that ramp to today's standards. So whenever we cross wherever there's a handicap ramp, we must upgrade that ramp.
And that's an unfunded mandate.
That's one way to look at it.
I have to mention that for Mr. Quinn, in case he's watching.
Okay.
It's an unfunded mandate.
This year, we saw Street Road be repaved, and County Line Road got paved earlier as well, and you still see that there are some orange fencing around those handicap ramps. And in fact, they added handicap ramps where there were no handicap ramps at a couple of intersections, one in particular at the corner where that proposed bus shelter would be. They added a handicap ramp just on the corner. You could come across from the corner and then go across to the other corner, but there are no sidewalks that connect it. So if the bus shelter was to go forward, we would encourage, we forgot to mention this earlier, a connection to that handicap ramp. So through Karen's help, and not to steal any of your thunder, if you would like to, if I don't explain this correct, please speak and tell me. But she prepared a bid for all of the handicap ramps, so we'll bid that separately. It'll be about $100,000 or just under $100,000. We anticipate it to be about $90,000. Second item up for consideration tonight is a tri-axle hauling bid. And this is a bid that we can use for any service throughout the township. So if we're hauling dirt, we're hauling salt, we're hauling road materials, we can use this throughout the year. We may or may not use it for the road paving program. We hope that we always get the asphalt delivered from the plant. And the reason for that is we need to ensure that it's at the correct temperature when it arrives at our paving machine. And if not, it won't be applied correctly. So when we bid out our road materials, which is the last item, we're going to bid two. We're going to bid it 2 ways. One way is hauled to our site, and then the other is if we pick it up. We pick up when we do patching, because we patch small areas and we have small trucks. When we're doing a major road repaving, we will have the asphalt plant deliver it to our paving equipment. So that's the basis of our road paving program. I hope I explained that correctly.
So I just have a few things to add. That in this year's road program, and I know we'll touch on it when we get the road program, a lot of curbing got broken up during snow plowing, big blizzard. That'll be covered. When we do the road program this year, those curbs here and there throughout the township will be repaired.
Yes, we'll incorporate that into the concrete contract.
And you know, that there was a perception out there in the past that we have 200 miles of road in Warminster. We do not. We have 100 miles of road in Warminster, which is a lot. And you looked at last year's program, we spent $450,000, roundabout?
Approximately, yes.
And we paved 1 mile of road. That's how incredibly expensive it is to do road paving. So I don't know for the future that we devise a long-term plan, but that much money per mile, we will never catch the tail. But we're working towards separating the bids out so we could be a little bit more efficient this year. So is there any other comments or questions about what we're doing here with taking these bid action?
And I can frame the motion for you if you would like,
Sure.
whenever you're ready.
Well, if there's no other comments from the board.
Incredibly expensive.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Imagine
Mr.
what it
Chair.
costs to pave a highway. I mean, imagine.
Thank you for that, explaining that, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Wiesner?
Karen, could you first identify the roads, if you don't mind?
Surely. The roads that were selected this year, which is a continuation of the list that Greg Hucklebridge, the former Director of Engineering and Operations, started in 2013. So these are the roads, it's selected as one neighborhood to hopefully lower the cost of mobilization from the contractor. So they're staying in one location while they're doing the project. These were the roads that had the highest severity score that were all grouped together and fit into the township's budget this year for liquid fuels funds. So the roads selected were Newtown Road between Rilling Road and the Penn State ARL property, Alicia Lane, Sheldon Drive, Estelle Lane, Watson Glen Drive, and Lillian Lane.
And if you can bear with me for just one moment, I ran out of juice and I realized I needed to go to my computer to find my bid
Well, we have
document.
4 items here for action. Can we just take them individually?
Absolutely. If
So-
you take the first ones, that'd be great.
Okay. Item A, authorize to advertise the curb ramp and curb replacement bid for Warminster Township 2016 paving program. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. McPhillips, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Frescatore, is there any comment from the board on the motion? Comment from the public? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Motion carried. Item B, authorization to advertise tri-axle trucking / hauling bid. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Monroe, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Crowley, any comment from the board? The public? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Item C, authorization to advertise the roadway milling contract for the Warminster Township 2016 paving program. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Monroe, second.
Second.
Ms. Frescatore, any question on the motion? Comment? Comment from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Motion carries. Item D, award road paving materials bid / the Bucks County Consortium joint municipal bid.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
I have to actually read the amounts if I.
Oh, okay. It's not on the agenda here that you have to do that.
Your timing's perfect. I got right to that. I found it at the right time here, and I apologize for not having it ready. So the recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, this is actually to award a bid. The first were to advertise the bids. We participate in the Bucks County Consortium of Communities. They bid road materials out for the entire county, and then we piggyback on that bid. Paul Lizzie and myself have reviewed the bids this afternoon. They just came in, and we've determined who are the low bidders, with the exception of the price for delivered asphalt. And when I get to that, Mike Savona has made a recommendation on how we might proceed with that, and that is that with the solicitor's help, Karen's help, and Paul Lizzie's help, we'll evaluate the 2 lowest bidders, and if you could so authorize us to award it to that low bidder after our review, that would be appreciative. But I'll read the other bids right now. 2B, 3/4-inch stone delivered to the township, approximately 100 tons. Price per ton, $13.50. Supplier is Eureka. Number 2 is number 2A stone mix delivered, 200 tons approximately. Price $11. Supplier Eureka. Third item, riprap mixed stone delivered, 200 tons. Price $19 per ton. Supplier Eureka. Super Pave 9.5 millimeter wearing delivered, approximately 3,500 tons, $49.50, Eureka. Super Pave 19.0 millimeters wearing delivered, 200 tons approximate, price $42.25, supplier Eureka. Super Pave 25 millimeter binder delivered, 200 tons, $40.75, Eureka. Tack coat as needed, $5.75 per gallon. AMS LLC as the supplier. And 2B 3/4-inch stone picked up, 100 tons, $10.50, Eureka. 2A stone picked up, 200 tons approximate, $8 per ton, Eureka. Riprap mixed stone picked up, 200 tons, $16, Eureka. The last 3 items are Super Pave 9.5 millimeter wearing, Super Pave 19 millimeter wearing, and Super Pave 20 millimeter binder. 25, thank you. All picked up, and that is to be awarded to the lowest bidder upon a review with Mr. Savona's office and the township staff. If there's a motion to award that bid, that
So I
would be
can cover
appropriate.
that under awarding the materials bid?
You can, just with
Okay.
one motion.
Okay, I'll accept the motion to award the road paving materials bids, but is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Crowley, second. Mr. McPhillips, is there any other discussion on the bids? Any from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Wiesner. And you're up again, Mr. Wiesner. Professionals reports. Township Manager, Mr. Wiesner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Get myself better organized.
Get yourself a little organized there, Steve. A lot going on.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item I'd like to call to the board's attention is our finance department has begun the audit. Our outside auditors have begun that process, and Jenny and the crew do a great job putting together all of the documents that are necessary. That audit will take several weeks. You'll see the auditors here in this room, and we supply them with an awful lot of information. This is a big township, and there, of course, are a lot of items that are under review in that audit. Number two, administration. We've been working diligently on our file management system. I report on this almost every month. With Catherine McGovern's help, we have disposed of 2 full bins of documents, and don't worry, Mr. Savona, they were all duplicates, and we confirmed those. In order to dispose of documents, we need a resolution from the Board of Supervisors for any original document. We need to maintain them according to the Pennsylvania Historical Commission guidelines. We'll be coming forward with a resolution in April for those documents which are not duplicates, but for which we do not need to retain any longer and have no useful value to the township. That helps us streamline our processing. The basement is full of boxes of old documents, so we need room down there. Tracy Tackett's office will be working on a rolling filing system for L&I coming up in the next month as well. We have new information on our website about television recycling. This is a real problem throughout the state of Pennsylvania. There are limited places where you can go to recycle your TV. In the past, Bucks County has offered free recycling events for electronics. They no longer do that because of the cost. But on our website, we've done some research, and we've listed 3 places within close proximity to Warminster where you can dispose of your TV. There is a fee, but we believe that a responsible person who is buying a new TV would also want to dispose of their old TV responsibly. So we have that listed on our website. Please check it out. Website, the board had asked staff to add in all the minutes from 2008. They have all been added. So that's that item.
And I was able to link to the agenda today directly.
All right.
So that is a result of our new platform that the website is on. So thank you, Jason, for mentioning that. We find it much easier to make amendments to the website as well, so it's going to be a big help.
Well done.
Let's see. I know we're running out of time, so I want to... York Road and Bristol Road. At York and Bristol Road, it's a state road. They're going to be repaving that road and making modifications to it. That will occur sometime in late April or May, possibly even June, depending on weather and other events. But I just want to bring that to your attention. Please monitor our website. We'll have road closure information, and I wanted to just assure the board that Emergency Services, Chief Donnelly, Joe Velton, and I will be meeting with PennDOT next week, and then again in 2 weeks to go over the detours to make sure that our emergency services can make it through the township.
And we're not running out of time. Mr. Wiesner and I have a gentleman's bet on the end of tonight's meeting. So take your time.
The township staff, including our new traffic engineer, is evaluating Olive Street. We have some parking concerns on Olive. We have a number of new businesses. We're happy that those businesses are doing so well, and they are using parking on Olive. So we want to be cognizant of the residents on Olive as well, and we're looking at that to see if we can make some enhancements.
The one concern I have, and I'm elated that the businesses are doing so well. It's exactly what we want. We want more and more people to come. One of the businesses, and I'm not going to put them out there here, but one of the businesses is advertising back entry on Olive Street. And, part of the reason Olive Street, and I got a history lesson from one of my neighbors, part of the reason Olive Street is one way for a large section of that road is to prevent people from using it as a bypass to Street Road. And I don't know if maybe there's fine legally to tell them, oh, you're coming through Olive Street. I'd like to discourage that if possible, but if I have no leg to stand on, I don't know if there's any zoning or what it is. But what we have is, in the vicinity of that particular business, Olive Street becomes basically less than one lane. Because people will park up both sides of the road. We're talking the Speedway, where the roads aren't wide to begin with. And then you can fit a car down the middle, granted, as long as it's a regular-sized car. I don't know. I don't know. I had not experienced that with any of the other businesses advertising on their sign out front, hey, come in the back way and go through the residential area. Again, I may not have a leg to stand on, but you know.
Your point is well taken. Public roads are difficult, especially when, there is access there and from an emergency standpoint. But Jason, your point is right on target, and that's one of the reasons we're looking at it. We don't want to adversely impact the residents along Olive. And I think our traffic engineers come up with some innovative ideas. We have not yet evaluated them all internally. We just got them in the other day, and between now and the next meeting, we'll certainly evaluate it further.
I don't want to make clear, I don't believe that business is being malicious in any way.
Right. Oh,
They're
right.
just trying to help their customers get into the business quicker, which I understand completely. But it's having an unintended adverse effect on the neighborhood.
Correct.
During the day, okay, it's not too bad, but at night, there's no street lights back there, it's dark, the kids run, you know where I'm going, just.
I do.
So if we can keep an eye on it and look into it.
We will. We'll continue to do that. Golf course, another strong month in February. I reported a strong month in January when we had all that snow, and that was because of advanced sales. Everyone's encouraged to buy tickets at the golf course. We sell them in advance at a cheaper price. So we had a really strong February. We beat January last year. We beat February last year, and we're looking at an early spring. The golf course is looking great, and we encourage everyone to pick up a golf club and head over to the golf course. We need the revenue. Library roof, I think I mentioned earlier, we're going to look to be doing that bid soon. The Brad Fox 5K run, scheduled for April 2nd. Joe Velton and the chief are assisting us with that. Will be on York Road, so we're still working towards that. West Nile spraying, I mentioned earlier as well. Wawa update. We at the last meeting, we had talked about the Wawa. We had a very good meeting with the residents, Gilmore and Associates, Tracy Tackett, and we believe we're getting very close to preparing an agreement which will be acceptable to all. Not everybody got everything that they wanted. In fact, everybody got something less than they wanted. We have not finalized the agreement, and I have committed to the residents that I would share that agreement with them in draft form and get their input, which I will do. So I will do that with Lanier Mobley if she's watching tonight, or any of the other residents.
I'm sure she is.
And I will make sure to do that. I committed to do that, and we will do that.
We have faith in you, Steve.
Well, thank you. I think we have a good plan. I think the engineers have come up with some innovative ideas. It's not yet finalized, so I haven't seen the last drawings, and neither of the residents, so I will be sharing that with them as well.
I have to tell you, I sat in on the meeting, and I thought Wawa was very cooperative, and they're going well over and above what's required of them.
I believe so, too. And I just wanted to mention again about the Navy open house. It's so important that this open house is taking place. Again, the dates are May 24th, 5 to 7 p.m., and May 25th. Announcement is on our website. We will continue to put new announcements on our website regarding this issue.
Where's the location on that again?
It is at the Horsham Township Community Center, 1025 Horsham Road, Horsham, PA.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Wiesner, comments? No? All right, going to move right along here. Solicitors report, Mr. Savona.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in the interest of compressing time, I will say my report was submitted this week. We covered a number of the items in the executive session that we had prior to the meeting, which you mentioned when we convened. I'm not going to discuss the litigation matters in the public meeting, but I will say that a good deal of the time this month was spent working toward development agreements for a number of projects that are already approved and waiting to get to groundbreaking. To that end, we did finalize development agreements for 222 Norristown Road. Today, I emailed around development agreements for 366 Hawthorne Street, and the board this evening approved additional waivers which were required for Police and Fire Federal Credit Union. They are chomping at the bit, and I've been in communication with their counsel. We're looking to finalize those development agreements and have those circulated to the applicant, hopefully by early next week. So unless there's any other questions, I'm not going to protract my report any further.
Okay, Ms. Holsizer, engineers report.
Thank you. I have a couple updates for you. We heard from the developers from both Whispering Pines and Building 20 at Station in Bucks County West that they believe they've completed the punch list. So weather permitting, we'll be going out next week to check the completion of those items, and if they are complete, we would bring out the closeout to the meeting in April.
Whispering Pines, we're finally closing that out.
Potentially, yes. 222 Norristown Road that Mike just mentioned, they have begun clearing on the site, so the site work has begun. And lastly, the 2014 program, the maintenance period ends April 16th, 2016. We did a site visit everything is fine. The workmanship and the materials are fine. There's no defects, so we are happy to recommend closeout of that maintenance bond.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Holsizer? No? Okay, thank you, Karen. Next up is Township Manager announcement of upcoming agenda items.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Wanted to mention we have a zoning hearing board meeting scheduled for March 23rd. It is just a residential one for a pool. We also believe that the zoning hearing board will hear an application from the Warminster Authority on putting in filtration systems at their sites. That date is yet to be determined, but should be early April. At the meeting on April 21st, if the board can accommodate us on this, it would be great. If we're able to not have the first meeting, that's great. We don't have anything right now on the agenda. The staff has been very cooperative in trying to move towards the second meeting. It's very helpful for us to be able to catch up. We're in catch-up mode still. We're still trying to get our filing systems in order, and that's helpful to me. But, of course, if there's anything of great importance, we'll have that meeting. But if not, I'd like to move to the meeting.
And if we're not going to, I think we should announce that on the website as soon as possible.
We will. For the meeting on the 21st, we'll have the Memorial Day Parade proclamation. Thank you. Also, we'll look to have a defined contribution pension plan allocation. I had talked about this the last time we had our pension advisory meeting. Jim Kennedy, our actuary, has informed me this week that he is almost complete with that proposed allocation. We will present it as a draft to the board at the April 21st meeting. Also, we will look to an amendment to the Act 537 plan. The Act 537 plan is the sewage plan for the entire township. The Water Authority made a presentation at the meeting, I believe, that was in February. The township manages that plan, and we will act on that proposal at the April meeting. It needed to be submitted to the Bucks County Planning Commission and the Bucks County Health Department. And I'll also look to prepare, as I mentioned earlier, Karen had made the presentation on the grants. We didn't know those numbers last year when we were doing the budget. We'll review that budget to see if a budget amendment is appropriate. We'll bring that forward to the April meeting as well. Thank you.
Also, board appointments.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had 2 resignations on our boards. George Fio from the Library Board has resigned. We wish George the best. He has some personal matters that prevented him from being able to participate any further. He has done a great job, and we very much appreciate that. And Bill Rainier of the Zoning Hearing Board. So with those 2 resignations, if anyone is interested in serving on either of those 2 boards, please submit a resume to the township, or at least a brief letter explaining your background and why you would like to serve on either of those 2 boards. We'll also make an announcement on our website. Take that up for consideration at the April meeting.
Okay, excellent. All right. Next up on our agenda is the second round of public comment. Is there any comment from the public?
This isn't a comment, it's an announcement. Being on the Parks and Recreation Board, I thought of Judy Hoover from the Meadow Woods area. I don't give my address out on public. So we are having a rubber ducky regatta May 15th. It's the annual rubber ducky regatta to help pay for what we do in Parks and Recreation at Kemper Park, and it's really a lot of fun. And there are several people here that are selling tickets that I know of.
I have a whole bunch of them right here.
I have some. You have yours with you, Kathy?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Judy, I've told our new board members that it's customary for them to go into the water to retrieve the ducks for the new board members. So
Okay,
we look forward
good.
to seeing
Good.
I'll wear my capris.
Thank you so much. I'll bring a camera for that, you know. But I just wanted to make sure you didn't skip over the rubber
Okay.
ducky regatta. Okay.
All right, thank you. Is there any other public comment? Okay, seeing none. Going to move on to
Tracy.
Ms. Tracy Tackett. Going to win my bet.
I'll be quick. I just wanted to point out on the agenda that we have listed the Planning Commission meeting Wednesday, March 22nd. We have actually changed the schedule for the Planning Commission. They're meeting the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of the month. And we'll get that corrected on the agenda, but I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Tackett. We're going to move on to supervisor comment. Ms. Frescatore.
I would just like to say happy St. Patty Days to everybody out there. We all have a little bit of Irish in us today, don't we? Thank you.
Mr. Monroe?
I know it's a little early, but it sounds like there might be some snow coming on Sunday, so be careful. My 8-year-old usually loves snow, but she actually said to me today that she was done. She's 8, and she said she's done with snow, so.
Yeah, she's smart.
And you know, I keep beating the same drum. You know, I'm proud that we swore in 2 new officers today. I just like to keep saying that it's a little bit of pressure off of the manpower for the officers, but they are still very short. And I look forward in the coming year to talk about adding additional officers. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Mr. McPhillips.
Yeah, I just want to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day. Today's paper, there was an article about over 300,000 people in Bucks and Montgomery County can trace their roots back to Ireland. And for me, I think about how I have grandparents that were from Dublin, Ireland, and a grandmother was from County Cork. And I remember as a little boy, my grandmother saying in her Irish brogue, Aaron Grobra, and indeed, Ireland forever. So happy St. Patrick's Day, guys.
Okay. Mr. Crowley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just to echo my fellow board members, happy St. Patty's Day. I'm unfortunately not as Irish as Mr. McPhillips or Mr. McKee. I'm only 25% Irish. The rest is Eastern European. But it's everybody be safe out there. Not only tonight, but this weekend, where I'm sure the party will continue. Real quickly, just to touch on it, you know, we earlier when the issues about the water was brought up, we didn't say a whole lot, and there's a reason for it. We've asked a lot of questions. We're still waiting on some of the answers. I can tell you every member of this board, every former member of this board has been asking these questions for a long time. We want to get some answers before we come out, but we're all concerned, we're all angry. But before we go out and we start saying, oh, who did this, I need to know who I'm mad at. I'm mad, but I need to know who we're mad at. So I'm sure we'll all have more to say as we learn some more going forward. But I just wanted to reiterate that. It's not that we don't care. We just, in this position, we have to, before we start making accusations, we have to make sure that we know what we're talking about. That old saying, it's better to be silent and thought of a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt. That's kind of what we're following. Is we want to make sure we have our I's dotted or T's crossed before we start making pronouncements and proclamations about who needs to do what to fix this problem. But we're all worried, we're all concerned, and we're all going to do what we can to protect this community. Thank you.
Mr. Wiesner, you want to pick up on that? There was something that we neglected to mention earlier.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Some of our residents have probably received a bag on their door with a yellow note in it and a small test tube or device to put water in for testing. That is not from the township, and it's not from the Water Authority. It's a company that is soliciting business, and this was announced on KYW, I think KYW Radio and News Channel 3. Bucks County has looked into this. Bucks County reported that the company is legitimate, but their practices may be questionable. They're testing water to sell a service, and I want to make that clear. This is not anything from the township, and it's not anything from your water authority. And please be cognizant before sending it in and do your research as to whether or not you want to send your water to this company. If you do, you're more than welcome to, but it is a private company not associated with the township.
Thank you, Mr. Wiesner. And I just have a couple of comments before we close it out. I always recognize and offer condolences. As a big music fan I am. We've lost a few in the music industry. The first one this past week was Keith Emerson, and I noticed my friend Ed Calhoun had his Keith Emerson shirt on today. He's always with it. And George Martin, who was the legendary producer of the Beatles and the Sixth Beatle, as everyone had called him. And the other one who was passed today was Frank Sinatra Jr. Was sorry to see that one as well. And I'm just amazed that Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones has outlived. He's outlived even more. God bless him. I'm amazed every time I see someone pass that Keith Richards is still with us. So my condolences to my musical people. And I just want to wish everyone a happy Paddy's Day. Of course, I'm 100% Irishman like Mr. McPhillips, and I've been watching the clock, and it appears that the first round is on me tonight, Mr. Wiesner. So with that, I'm going to call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. McPhillips, meeting adjourned.